Luxury doesn't whisper in Europe, it breathes. It lingers in old stone walls that survived centuries, in marble halls polished by time, in gardens designed by kings, and in iron gates taller than dreams. When Europe builds luxury, it doesn't chase trends or noise. It builds legacies. And today on Velvet, we are stepping into a world where most people never get invited. Homes so expensive, so rare, so unbelievably grand that even billionaires must wait years just to step foot inside. Before we dive in, remember to subscribe to Velvet so you never miss the next journey through the world of true European luxury. The first home rises from the cliffs like a dream woven from sunlight and money. It's the kind of place that doesn't brag. It simply exists, untouchable, unreachable. A villa perched above the Mediterranean, with waters so blue they look painted. From the sky, it seems like a private kingdom. And that's exactly what Villa lingers has always been. A kingdom built for kings, purchased by billionaires, and now valued so high that even countries could barely afford it. But its beauty doesn't start with the price tag, it starts with the feeling. Standing on its terrace, the air tastes like old wealth, quiet power, and the kind of luxury you can't ever fake. The kind Europe perfected. Once inside, the world slows down. Thick wooden doors carved centuries ago swing open like a gesture of respect. Marble floors stretch out like rivers of stone. The walls are covered in old oil paintings, whose frames alone are worth more than most houses. And then, the garden's 35 acres of botanical perfection, shaped by botanists, landscapers, and kings, with over 14,000 species of plants. Walking through these gardens feels like walking through a living museum of nature. This home isn't just expensive, it's alive. It breathes history, it radiates power, and it reminds you that in Europe, luxury is never just bought. It is inherited, protected, and preserved for centuries. But if lingers is Europe's stately masterpiece, our next home is something entirely different, a fortress of absolute privacy. Hidden deep within the Swiss Alps, a mansion carved into the mountain, wrapped in silence, and designed for one purpose: to hide the ultra-rich from the world. There are no paparazzi drones here, no tourists, no noise, just snow, stillness, and stone walls thick enough to hold secrets for generations. This mansion is what billionaires choose when they want to disappear. Inside, everything is carved from raw materials: stone, granite, glass thicker than bulletproof shields. Fireplaces taller than a grown man burn endlessly, fueled by logs as thick as tree trunks. Floor-to-ceiling windows open to mountains that look like they were hand-sculpted by nature itself. Standing there feels different, it feels like the world has shrunk, leaving only silence, money, and sky. Homes like these don't need gold ceilings or painted halls. Their luxury comes from the feeling of complete and touched privacy. And that kind of silence, it's the most expensive luxury of all. But Europe's third home on our journey is something else. Entirely something louder, grander, and far older. A palace that sits proudly in the heart of London, where royalty still walks its halls and where modern billionaires fight for the chance to make an offer. A home so vast that people joke it has its own weather system. Inside, the ceilings rise so high, you wonder how builders centuries ago even reached them. Chandeliers drip from above like frozen waterfalls of crystal. Rooms stretch endlessly, each decorated with tapestries, silk walls, rare furniture, and fireplaces larger than bedrooms in regular houses. Even the corridors feel like stories waiting to be told. When you walk through these halls, you feel it, the echo of centuries, the aura of royalty, the weight of history pressing gently against your skin. This is what makes European homes different. They're not just homes. They are time machines that hold memories, secrets, and legacies. Every room in this palace feels like a museum exhibit. Every door feels like the entrance to a storybook. And yet, despite its size, despite its grandeur, the real luxury is something quieter: continuity. The idea that you are stepping into a place that existed before you were born and will exist long after you are gone. Europe doesn't build houses, it builds monuments to time. Our fourth home takes us away from the royal lifestyle and into something more intimate, but equally untouchable: a cliffside villa on the Amalfi coast. It hangs over the sea like a painting. The sun hits it every morning like a blessing, turning its walls gold. The water below crashes against the rocks with a rhythm so perfect, it feels scripted. This home is the kind of luxury that feels alive, warm, cinematic. Inside, everything is handcrafted. Ceramic tiles painted by artisans, wooden beams carved by local craftsmen, windows framed perfectly to capture the sea's light. But the real magic lies outdoors. The terraces stretch outward like open arms, layered down the cliffside with gardens full of lemons, jasmine, roses, and olives. At night, lights glow across the coastline, reflecting off the water like stars that fell from the sky. And when you stand there, European luxury is different. It is not loud, not forced, not dripping in diamonds for the sake of attention. It is soulful, romantic, timeless. Even billionaires who own skyscrapers, jets, and modern mansions feel something in Amalfi they can't feel anywhere else. A sense of being part of something beautiful. And finally, our fifth home brings us to the quiet countryside of England, where old money breathes differently. A massive estate surrounded by thousands of acres of private land, rolling hills, lakes so still they look like mirrors, forests that seem enchanted at sunrise. This is where European aristocracy built their wealth, not in cities, not in skyscrapers, but in land. And this estate is the crown jewel. The home itself is enormous stone columns, ivy crawling up the walls, windows taller than doors in average homes. But the real wealth lies outdoors, in the silence, the space, the freedom. American luxury often shows wealth. European luxury protects it. The deeper you walk into the English estate, the more it begins to feel like you're stepping backward through time. The walls, thick and weathered, carry the scent of old books and polished wood. Paintings of ancestors stare at you from the corridors, men in regal coats, women in gowns heavy with embroidery. These aren't decorations, they're reminders of lineage. Generations looked out of these same windows, stood before these same fireplaces, walked with the same quiet authority through these halls. This is the difference between owning luxury and belonging to it. In Europe, homes like this are not purchased, they are inherited from time itself. Even the details whisper wealth. The floors creak not because they're old, but because the wood has expanded and settled over centuries. The fireplaces are carved from limestone, dragged by horse and cart in the 1,700 seconds. The library smells of leather and dust and stories, a room built, not just to read in, but to think in, to plan in, to rule in. Outside, the estate stretches for miles, so vast that you could walk for an hour and still be on your own land. There are private lakes where the water shines silver at dawn, gardens pruned so perfectly they look like living sculptures, and a silence so thick that even the wind seems respectful. Homes like these are not loud. They don't scream luxury. They don't glitter with diamonds. Their wealth lies in scale, heritage, and the simple fact that no amount of money can recreate this kind of history. You can buy marble, you can buy art, you cannot buy centuries. And yet, even this massive estate is just one world inside Europe's constellation of unbelievable homes. There is a certain type of wealth that chooses quiet country estates, but another type chooses the opposite. Cities where the streets hum with culture, power, and elegance. And nowhere captures this more than Paris. Hidden behind tall stone gates, guarded by hedges trimmed with meticulous perfection, sits a Parisian mansion that feels like stepping into a dream painted by an architect. From the outside, it is simple, reserved, elegant, almost shy. Paris doesn't flaunt wealth, it suggests it. But step inside and the restraint disappears. The ceilings rise high, covered in moldings so intricate they look like lace carved from plaster. Light pours in through 200-year-old windows, falling across marble floors like spilled champagne. Every room is balanced, symmetrical, perfect in a way only French craftsmanship can achieve. The staircase curves upward like a ribbon, each step worn slightly from generations of feet. The walls carry the faint scent of perfume and polished stone a smell Paris seems to own. In the courtyard, a fountain trickles quietly, It's stone darkened by rain and time. Even the air feels curated. This is a different kind of luxury, urban and refined, whispering rather than shouting. A home like this doesn't need guards or gates or acres. Its power comes from what lies outside its front door, the most romantic city in the world. You step out, and suddenly you're walking distance from couture ateliers, Michelin restaurants, and streets that shaped human history. In Europe, luxury is never isolated. It is surrounded by culture, but our journey doesn't end in Paris, Europe's most expensive. Homes take many shapes, and some hide in the most unexpected corners and islands that look like emeralds, floating on blue water. Picture this, a private island off the coast of Greece, where the Aegean Sea sparkles like a sheet of liquid glass. The water is so clear you can see the sand beneath it. As the boat approaches, the island rises from the sea like a secret whispered by the horizon, and on it sits a home unlike any other, a modern palace carved into the rocks, blending so perfectly with the landscape that it feels natural. The first thing you notice is the silence. Not the cold silence of luxury, but a warm, open silence, filled with wind and waves and sun. The house is built almost entirely from glass and stone, making it feel like it's part of the ocean itself. Walls slide open, letting the sea breeze drift into every room. At night, the water reflects the moonlight, painting the entire island in silver. Billionaires come here not to impress, but to retreat from the rest of the world. Here luxury isn't gold, it's space, it's solitude. It's the kind of quiet you can't buy anywhere else. The bedrooms face the sea. The showers are carved from rock walls. The pool stretches out toward the horizon, like a line drawn between reality and dreams. Even the air tastes different, cleaner, softer, flavored by salt and sunlight. This is Europe's gift, different worlds of luxury, all contained in one continent. But the crown jewel of European real estate is older than private islands, older than Parisian mansions, older even than country estates. It is something built when craftsmen took decades, sometimes centuries, to finish their work. The final home on our journey is a castle that rises from a hilltop in Austria like a monument to time. Thick stone walls tower into the sky. Flags ripple in the wind. The gates creak open with a deep, ancient groan, as if waking from a long sleep. Inside, the castle feels like stepping into another universe. Torches line the halls. Stone corridors echo with every footstep. Spiral staircases twist upward into towers that look out over forests and rivers and villages. The great hall stretches wider than some city blocks, with ceilings so high they disappear into darkness. At the center, a long wooden table stretches across the room like a spine, its surface worn by the elbows of knights, kings, and nobles who lived centuries before the world we know. And yet, this castle has been restored with the kind of modern luxury that feels almost surreal. Beneath the ancient stone lies a private cinema, a heated pool carved into the ground, wine cellars older than entire countries, and a ballroom where light reflects off crystal like fire. It is a place where old and new merge so seamlessly. It feels like magic. Europe's most expensive homes don't just cost money, they cost time, power, and history. They hold stories written not by architects, but by centuries. And as you stand in that Austrian castle, feeling the weight of its history pressed gently against your chest, something becomes very clear. These homes aren't just structures. They're symbols of something bigger and entire. Philosophy of wealth that Europe has perfected for centuries. A belief that true luxury doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need neon lights, sports cars revving at midnight, or gold-plated everything. True luxury is time. It's heritage. It's the ability for a single family to live in the same home long enough for the walls to remember their voices. But the deeper you wander through these extraordinary estates, the more you start to realize something else. Europe's luxury is rarely accidental. Every stone, every carving, every garden path was designed with purpose. You see it when you walk through the castle's courtyard, where ivy climbs the walls like nature trying to rewrite parts of history. You see it when you step into the banquet hall, where chandeliers glitter like frozen stars. You even see it in the smallest details, the smoothness of a doorknob, polished by centuries of hands, or the careful placement of fireplaces designed to warm only certain rooms, conserving heat like a science long before electricity existed. It's almost as if every European home on this list carries two personalities. One belongs to the past, the knights, nobles, kings, merchants, artists, and dreamers who once walked its halls. The other belongs to the present, the billionaires, global investors, tech moguls, and world leaders who now use their wealth to preserve these living pieces of history. Unlike modern mansions, where luxury is measured in square footage and gadgets, Europe measures luxury in memories, in generational continuity, in the quiet power of permanence. Because if there's one thing Europe understands better than anywhere else, it's this: money builds houses, but time builds homes. You feel this even in the modernized castle hallways, where state-of-the-art lighting meets thousand-year-old stone. Like two worlds learning how to coexist. In a single room, you can stand between the armor of a medieval knight and the sleek glow of a modern fireplace. And the strange thing is, it fits. It all fits. Because Europe has never been afraid to blend the old with the new. It has never been afraid to let history breathe beside innovation. Now imagine living here. Imagine waking up every morning and stepping onto a balcony that overlooks forests once ridden through by horseback messengers. Imagine hosting guests in a hall where royalty once celebrated victories. Imagine your voice echoing across the same stones that carried the laughter of nobles hundreds of years ago. It's not just luxury, it's immortality. A feeling that when you live in a place like this, you become part of something far bigger than yourself. And yet, not all European luxury hides in old stone. Some of it, surprisingly, hides in air. High in the Swiss Alps sits another kind of home sleep, modern, shimmering like a glacier. Its walls are made of floor-to-ceiling windows that catch the light like diamonds. When you step inside, it feels like walking into a cloud. The air is crisp and cold, but clean in a way that feels almost holy. Outside, snow-capped peaks rise sharply toward the sky, their shadows stretching across the valleys below. In this home, luxury is simplicity, silence, space. The kind of silence that lets you hear your own heartbeat. The kind of space that makes stress melt off your shoulders like snow in the sun. The living room glows softly with natural light. The fireplace crackles. Everything smells like pine, frost, and warm leather. Here, the mountains are not scenery, they're guardians, watching over the home with ancient, unmoving patience. It's a reminder that European wealth has range. It can be modern, it can be historic, it can be loud in its beauty, yet quiet in its intention. Every home tells a different story. Maybe that's why the wealthy keep coming back. Why billionaires from every corner of the world try to buy a piece of Europe. Because these homes aren't just assets, they're experiences. They shape you. They slow the world down. They make every morning feel meaningful. And as we come to the end of this journey, standing between castles, islands, Alpine mansions, Parisian palaces, and centuries-old English estates, one thing becomes obvious. Europe doesn't just understand luxury, Europe defines it. A luxury that doesn't fade with trends. A luxury that doesn't age with time. A luxury that becomes more powerful the older it gets. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of European wealth, and you want more stories, more secrets, more hidden corners of luxury, make sure you subscribe to Velvet. Your support keeps this journey going. And trust me, the next destination is even more unbelievable than this one. So hit that subscribe button, because on Velvet, luxury never sleeps.